This is a Marshall Bluesbreaker. It's one of the most important guitar pedals of all time. Today I'm going to tell you a little bit about the history behind this pedal, why it's so important, and I'm going to show you how I use it. But first, welcome. My name's Cole. I make videos about music and gear. If that interests you, please consider subscribing to the channel and following me on my Instagram page at ColeGMusic. But alright, let's talk about the Marshall Bluesbreaker. The Marshall Bluesbreaker was released in 1991 alongside the Drive Master and the Shred Master, though the roots of the Bluesbreaker's sound go all the way back to the early 1960s. This pedal was designed to capture the sound of the Marshall 1962 combo amp, which is mostly known now as the Bluesbreaker because Eric Clapton played one on the John Mayall and the Bluesbreakers album. Similarly to the original Bluesbreaker amp, the Bluesbreaker pedal is low to mid gain. You're not really going to get a high gain sound with this pedal. That was what the Shred Master and the Drive Master were for. Though the original Bluesbreaker pedal now is held in really high regard, that wasn't actually always the case. In fact, in the mid-90s, due to low sales, Marshall discontinued it and eventually made a new version of the Bluesbreaker in 1997, but honestly, there is no real similarity to the original Bluesbreaker except for the name only. The original Bluesbreaker pedal circuit started to fade away until the early 2000s when boutique pedal builders started building their own versions of the circuit. The most notable builder to do so, and widely considered the first to do so, was Analog Man. Releasing in 2003, the King of Tone housed both a Bluesbreaker style circuit and a Tube Screamer style circuit, all in one pedal enclosure. In the 20 years following the King of Tone's release, countless pedal builders have made their own version of the Bluesbreaker circuit, thus giving guitarists plenty of options to get an original style Bluesbreaker circuit on their pedal board. And it's a good thing that boutique pedal builders were making their own version of the Bluesbreaker circuit while Marshall wasn't, because a man named John Mayer would make the originals go for so much money. John Mayer used an original Mark I Bluesbreaker on Continuum, his biggest album to date and one of the most influential guitar albums and albums of all time, and he used it on the subsequent tour as well. This in recent years has spiked the value of the original Bluesbreakers by so much. In 2012, I found forum posts of the originals going for around $275, and now you can find originals going for $800 to $1,000. It's absolutely insane what John Mayer did to the original Bluesbreaker price. But thankfully, Marshall saw the demand for the original circuit of the Bluesbreaker, and in 2023, they released this. This is an authentic reissue of the original pedal. Same enclosure, I believe it's the same metal as well, same circuit. It wasn't like the one they released in 1997 where it was a Bluesbreaker by name only. This was the real deal, and it came in the same box as well as the original one. Before I show you how I use the Bluesbreaker, I want to thank Sweetwater for sponsoring this video. I reached out to them about potentially doing a video on the Bluesbreaker pedal, and they really liked the idea and they sent it my way super quickly. Sweetwater has been super supportive of the Cole G channel, and I'm really grateful for their support. So if you would like to learn more about the Marshall Bluesbreaker, I'll have links down below to Sweetwater's website. If you do decide to buy the Bluesbreaker or something else using that link, I do receive a small commission, and it's a great way to support the channel if you're looking at buying some gear. But anyways, thanks again, Sweetwater, and now let me show you how I use the Bluesbreaker. Alright, let's talk about how I use the Bluesbreaker. The most common way I use this pedal is kind of as a boost slash light overdrive sound. So here's how my guitar sounds without the pedal. I'm running it into a Kemper with a profile of my Mesa Boogie Fillmore 50. Now with the pedal on. So it's a pretty light overdrive sound, and honestly, I would even use a little bit less than that. To me, this is the iconic sound of the Blues Breaker. This is almost the exact setting that John Mayer uses, though I have the volume turned up a little bit more, and I believe the tone is turned up just a little bit more on my settings. It's very snappy as well, especially when I play it into the single coil / split coil Fishman sound here. Here's how it sounds without the pedal. That low gain / boost sound that I use a lot with this pedal works really great with this baritone guitar. I love this guitar so much, but the pickups on it are quite dark sounding. A little bit lifeless, though I kind of like that, honestly. But with this pedal, if I have the gain at around 1 o'clock and then the tone at around 4 o'clock and the volume all the way up, it just becomes so much clearer. So check this out. Another reason why I like the low gain sound a lot is just because it brightens up effects and makes them sound better, because basically the tone is an EQ, and I feel like it really cuts out a lot of the low end when it's cranked all the way up, especially with this baritone guitar, because effects kind of get lost on it just because it's a muddy sounding guitar. But once I turn this on and I'm running a tremolo and a delay, you'll hear it just sounds really crystal clear. Even on a bright guitar like this Fender Mustang, I find that the low gain bright sound that I use just makes it sound even clearer. So without it, and if I turn on the same effects I used with the baritone, it still just gives it a bit more clarity. For most of the time I'm using this pedal, I'm using that really bright low gain sound. But there's another sound on here that I use pretty much all the other times that I'm not using it as a bright overdrive sound. And it's kind of a jazz fusion-y, dark Robin Ford-esque, Larry Carlton kind of vibe. I don't really know how to describe it, but you'll hear it here. I have the gain at around 2 o'clock and the tone between 9 and 10 o'clock. I have my Boss Space Echo turned on, and I have a Keeley Hydra. I think this sound also sounds good with more overdrive. I have the overdrive now at around 4 or 5 o'clock. So that's the history, influence, and how I use the Marshall Bluesbreaker. Now I want to hear from you. Do you have any Marshall Bluesbreaker style pedals on your pedal board? Let me know in the comments down below and let's have a discussion. Once again, huge thanks to Sweetwater for providing this pedal for the video. If you'd like to learn more about the pedal, I'll include links down below to Sweetwater's website. If you do decide to buy it, I do receive a small commission. It's a great way to support the channel if you're looking at getting some new gear. Also, if you want to learn more about the history of the Bluesbreaker and more in-depth details, watch JHS's video on it. That's where I got a lot of the historical information for this video. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking it and subscribing to the channel and following me on Instagram at ColeGMusic. My name's Cole, and I'll see you in the next one.